Deep Dive Film School makes no claim of ownership of the film footage used in this episode. The film footage is owned entirely by the copyright holders. Also, we're going to spoil the hell out of this movie, so this is your warning. Welcome to Deep Dive Film School!
This week we're going to get into that one scene from Whiplash.
All right, everybody, I am Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Palcher.
And if you like what you see /hear, please like and subscribe. You can find us in all those spaces and places that people find good media.
That's right.
Yes. Let's talk about this scene from the movie Whiplash. Mm-hmm. Which scene is it that we're going to do?
Not My Tempo. I think that's the one. I don't know. Like all of these movies that we go and do these scenes for, I'm always like, yeah, but that scene too.
Yeah.
Like these are great movies we're pulling them from, which is why we're choosing them to talk about them and their place in film history, which I think is exciting and fun, but it's hard to pick sometimes.
It is, but I think,
but this was the one for this one.
Where a lot of these came from, we first talked about it and started like sketching them out, and then it became a point where I was like, I'm gonna go for it, and I made this big dumb long list, and so a lot of these were ones where I was like, well, if there is a scene from that movie, like the first one that occurs to you, and definitely with Whiplash, this is Not My Tempo. Now, this is, we got Miles Teller, we got J.K. Simmons.
Damien Chazelle was the writer-director.
That's right. And Chazelle actually dabbled with being a jazz drummer.
Yeah, he was a music student.
Mm-hmm. And then at some point during his career as a music student realized, no, I really want to be a filmmaker. But he did say, part of the reason why he made that decision is because he had a monster of a music teacher at the conservatory.
That could be.
Yeah, well, that he was at.
Yeah, well, I could see that. I think also you can tell if you just look at his films and how he makes films, particularly this one, because music is such an important pulse of the movie and how it's edited and just the whole emotion attached to this movie when you're watching it. It's very intense movie, and it's very fast-paced at times. You're moving with the beats of everything, and
yes.
like you can see how him being a music student made him a better filmmaker. But
yeah, I could see that.
But you know, so I think just a little context of this scene inside of the movie. It's probably about 20 minutes in. Miles Teller gets accepted into the Schaefer School. He has a confrontation with J.K. Simmons' character. And it's like the very first scene of the movie where he just kind of walks in on him playing drums and kind of sticks around and gets his first impression of him being an asshole, but like, oh, maybe he's just a tough teacher kind of thing.
It's more of at that point, I feel like that for Teller's character, when he first walks in and he's playing and they have that conversation, you do get this idea of like, oh, he's made of stern stuff, but maybe this is a mentor figure for me, right? And you do think that that's maybe where this is headed. And then what happens in this scene, in the Not My Tempo scene, that's so interesting.
This is not Remember the Titans where Denzel Washington's talking to the football team. And
it is,
being hard on him because it's going to turn him into winners.
Yeah, this is
Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, this is the thing. Oh, that's a great comparison.
He's Gomer Pyle. And he is Lee Emery, right?
Yep, he is Lee Emery. And thank God that this movie exists just for J.K. Simmons to finally get his spot in the sun.
Unleashed.
And such an incredible performance, and the allure of his character's name is Terrence Fletcher.
Yep.
And he's so perfect as the gatekeeper for everything. That Andrew Neiman, who is Miles Teller's character, he's the gatekeeper for all the things that he wants, right? That he's like, I am that person.
He knows it. It's a power struggle. That's what this whole scene is.
Dude, imagine being like, that's the thing I want. I want to, I'm going to be a drummer. And like you think about it and you dream about it and you finally get there and you're like, that's the guy. That's going to be the guy. And then he hates you.
Well, it's interesting how they build it up because they do show his assholeness when someone is out of tune in the very first class that he goes to.
Right.
But Miles Teller's character gets invited to an early morning session. That's the real class, right?
Yep.
And so, he's feeling pretty confident about himself. It's a little cocky, but sees that side. It was like, oh shit, he's harsh. Like he's no bullshit. And then the scene right before this one, they have a break, and he kind of placates him in the hall and learns about his family history and just kind of asks him and says, just have fun, just do whatever.
Fuck.
And then this is the next scene.
You just get in there, just
so right when he
let yourself be comfortable.
Brings you up, he tears you down.
Well, and I love this juxtaposition that we get also of Teller walking into the room, and here's all the rest of these students, and they're all sitting there very and Teller kind of comes in with a little bit of like, what's up, squares?
Swagger.
Yeah, like, why are you guys, why can't you guys loosen up? The teacher already likes me. And they all know, like, they've all had a snare drum thrown at their head, right? They all are very aware.
It was a chair.
Oh, well, I'm just saying. But there's this, that dichotomy between those two things is so fun because we learn very quickly, this is why the rest of them are acting the way that they are.
Yeah, it's interesting because Chazelle, I think one of the most special or unique things about this movie is that this is a first-time director.
Yeah.
Like, the craft of this scene is really real and raw and just impressive how he does it. He doesn't really show the rest of the band. And I think the silent character in this movie that's kind of lingering over this whole thing, even though it's obviously about Fletcher and Teller, when he talks about, like, are you rushing or dragging? The silent character here is the drummer next to him who's his competition, right? That's the guy who like you don't really pay attention to, but after you watch the scene a few times, you're like, watch that guy.
He's sitting right here behind his shoulder.
He's watching everything because
it's totally true.
And it's pretty interesting to like. That was one of the things I discovered about the scene was that character in particular, how important it is that he's there. Because he sat in the same seat.
Yep.
Right? Andrew.
And once he sits down and starts playing, you go, oh, there is a difference, right? There is the difference between really feeling it and trying to kind of like bring your own personality to it and doing what it is that Fletcher wants you to do.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why he's like, not my tempo. Yeah. Right? Now, they are playing the Hank Levy song Whiplash, which obviously the movie is also named after.
Yep.
But this idea that it's not Hank Levy's tempo, it's Fletcher's tempo, right?
Yeah.
And I hear it the way that I want to hear it because I am the expert in this room.
You have no individuality here.
You have no individuality.
You're playing what?
Oh dear God! Are you one of those?
Earphones.
Are you one of those fucking single tier motherfuckers? Now, one interesting thing, Chazelle gave J.K. Simmons direction early on and said, "I want you, whatever you think the normal limit is, I want you to take it past that.
Oh man,
I don't want to see a human being on screen. I want to see a monster and a gargoyle." That's what he told J.K. Simmons. He said, take it that much further every single time.
Well, the mental gymnastics here of a character, watching this evolution of this character in power, right? I think it's obviously helped with the editing and the acting, of course, but they ramp it up so quickly and flip it on its head.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly, but this is the first time we see him get physical, right?
Yes.
He's been emotionally abusive and verbally abusive, but never physical. Throwing the chair, you're like, oh shit, that's like you can get kicked out of school. But when he starts smacking him, woo!
Well, and that there's true rage underneath that smile. Just when he's like, you're rushing, and he hears it again, he goes,
not quite like that.
Not quite my tempo. It's okay. Let's take it again from 18. And I also love this utilization of a language that most of us who are not members of a jazz conservatory don't understand. Where he's like, from the 3rd 15th on number 18, bar 5.
Yeah.
Right. And we're all like, and then they go, and I'm like, as a musician, I'm like, where the fuck in the song is that? Like, what is that he just said? But they all know it's skip and he's getting it wrong, and we're like, but we know he's good, right? But he's not good enough. Like, all the mastery of all those elements together works so well. And I have to say, like, Chazelle himself is such an interesting director because even though he's really only made like 3 like big sort of tentpole movies in his career, he did do a short called Whiplash that J.K. Simmons was in.
I saw it at
Oh, did you? Okay.
I saw it the year, and honestly, as a short, it didn't make a ton of sense. It seemed like it was basically one scene from this movie, but out of context, it was basically just J.K. Simmons being this extreme character. But as a short, I didn't think it totally
You needed
worked.
more context. Yeah,
because
that makes sense.
I was kind of against seeing the full-length movie when it came out, so I didn't end up actually seeing the movie in Sundance. I saw it later.
Oh.
And being like, damn it, I should have seen that at Sundance.
Okay, you were right. Your short did not do everything. Good job making the full movie.
A few things about Fletcher's character before we move on. I think the power of the hand gesture of the stop is it's
He's
like,
God.
It's his control. Like,
Yeah.
nope, and everyone is following everything his hand does, right?
Yep.
That's what you're looking at. You're not looking at him or your music. You're looking at that hand gesture.
Completely.
So that is a very powerful visual image that I think gets used, and he just snaps it like perfectly. He's got it down. And then also this like paranoia of him of thinking that Andrew is deliberately there to sabotage his band.
Oh,
right?
God,
and
yeah.
it's just like, how real is that? I don't know. Is he just trying to make an example of him? And honestly, like, as someone who manages and hires people, leading with empathy is so much more powerful than the way that he leads here.
Oh, totally.
And just listening to people and giving them, a chance to explain themselves. But I as a movie and as an audience member, this is way more fun to watch.
Well, you nailed it with
this isn't Lean on Me, and
No, it's not Lean on Me.
Morgan Freeman coming in and saying, you guys got to get better.
It's not. Well, you nailed it. You nailed it with the Full Metal Jacket comparison. That really is what it is. Is like,
that's the first thing I thought when I saw this
he's
movie.
gonna make men out of these boys. He's gonna mold that whole idea. I will say what I was mentioning before about the director style. It's very interesting because I feel like La La Land almost has like a weird throwback Coen Brothers vibe to it, like but in terms of its direction style, I feel like First Man is almost like a Ron Howard film, more stylized, but like a Ron Howard film.
Sure.
But Whiplash to me feels like it could have been directed by Fincher. Like, it's dark, it's slick, it's gritty, it does lots of poppy, crackling kind of edits to it.
Yeah.
It feels like a David Fincher film, and I'm like, this is wild. Like, this guy has just, with 3 sort of tentpole movies, done 3 wildly different styles of film.
Do you think, as an audience member, it is, I feel like we're kind of shocked at the moment he gets slapped a little bit, because you're kind of like, oh, I'm not surprised that went there at all. But at the same time, you're like shocked that it happened, like that it actually happened in front of all of these witnesses.
Yeah.
It's not like he's hiding it, right? And it's just like, as an audience member, you can kind of see it's building up to that, and the tension of the film, and particularly this scene where with the editing and how it's going, and he's slapping, rushing, dragging, all that stuff. But like, it's kind of one of those, like, you question yourself as an audience member, or like, oh, of course it went there, but you're like, oh my God, it went there.
Well, and I would actually slightly disagree, because when I remember the feeling watching this the first time, that I didn't know that that's what this movie was going to be about. Okay. Like, I thought it was going to be Miles Teller's character, because the beginning does feel like this, like, local boy makes good. Like, he's going to go and do the thing that he wants to do, and he's going to be this amazing drummer that blows everybody away. And
even
instead,
at the beginning of the scene, he's like grooving to it. He's like, he's playing, he's got a nice beat at the beginning, and then something changes. It's not quite his tempo. But even Fletcher looks like he's into it. But is he playing with you? It's that evolution of a madman, right? Who's just like kind of like quickly, like, he's a perfectionist, obviously.
Oh, here are all of the things he's capable of. Yeah, and it does. It takes the movie in the very beginning. I mean, this is scene, like you said, it's like 20 minutes into the movie, and it turns everything on its side and says, this is what this movie's about. This movie is actually about this power struggle between these two men.
Well, and at that point, you don't know that. You think, is this going to be motivation for Andrew to get better? And in a way, yes.
But it's so toxic. It's so fucking toxic.
It's so bad. It is not. But it's also, being physically abused in front of all of these kids that you just started going to school with. Yeah. But like you said, they probably have all gone through that to a degree. So
and the only difference is Miles Teller's character is like, I'm going to kill him. Right? It's like he can't handle it.
It turns into kind of a revenge flick.
It really does.
Really interesting.
It's very interesting.
It
is a fantasy realized moment for the director and writer, for the writer director to be able to say, if I hadn't dropped out and been done with it, this is what I would have done,
No doubt. I mean, it's a roller coaster of emotion. Just in this 5-minute scene.
Another good comparison would be Swimming with Sharks.
Yeah. Oh, that is a good one. That's good. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to that one scene from Whiplash. Next
Yes.
week, we're going to be back with our end of the No Capes Festival, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So make sure you like and subscribe. We got at least an episode or two every week, as often as we can. And I think the next one scene after this is No Country for Old Men.
Yes. Good
Please join us
stuff.
for that. Like and subscribe. We'll see you then.
Bye, you guys.